What is gravy, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to part 2 of my PlayStation 4 collection. I'm not going to waste any time. If you haven't seen the first part, make sure to go back and watch that one first. We are picking up literally straight where it left off, and yeah, I'm not going to waffle, so enjoy. Next up, we have the Last of Us games, obviously remastered, and The Last of Us Part 2. I, again, absolutely love both of these games. I have never tried to platinum the original, and like I said in previous videos, I'm not going to. But the platinum trophy for The Last of Us Part 2, super easy, super fun. Regardless of what you think of the game, it looks incredible, it plays buttery smooth, and yeah, I just love this franchise, I really do. Not as much, however, as I love this franchise. Little Nightmares is possibly by far and away my favourite just couple of games ever. I absolutely adore them, despite whatever faults they may have. They may run janky at times. The first one may not have a platinum trophy and may have a speedrun that makes me want to cry, but these games are just incredible in my opinion. They are literally, I have no words. I've said enough about them in the past. If you want to see more videos about these, then just go play them instead, because you should play them. Just play them. They're like little 2D platformers. Great. And they're terrifying. The monster designs. Oh, I said I wasn't going to gush, so moving on. Okay, so I think we're making somewhat decent time. We're up to M, which isn't too bad, I suppose. But kicking those off, we have the Mass Effect series, obviously Legendary Edition, and Andromeda. I have not played it yet, but again, it was very cheap, and I mean, I'd be interested to see how it is, especially after playing through these for the first time. I had never actually played these before this, and played through all three of them pretty much back to back. Got all the platinum trophies in them. Incredible series. So at some point I want to see if this is really the dumpster fire that everyone says it is, but I have an open mind. Next, we've got Medievil Remake, another beloved game that I played when I was younger. Fun fact, I didn't play the PS1 game, I played the PSP version of the game, which I think was called Resurrection. But I bought this digitally last year for pretty cheap, and I even have the steelbook, which I bought on its own. But I never had the physical copy, so I was really happy to actually pick this up. Again, for pretty cheap. Can't really argue with the prices I paid for some of these, to be honest. Same can be said for Metal Gear Solid 5. Now, I have never finished a Metal Gear. In fact, the only one I've ever played was 4, and I didn't get very far. And while some of you may want to crucify me for this, I would like to rectify the situation. Maybe with Metal Gear Solid 5, we shall see. But either way, I picked it up, it was cheap, as is the running theme with a lot of these, so it's in the collection at least. Next up, we have Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which I played the original Mirror's Edge on the PS3. I absolutely love that game. In fact, I'm pretty sure I don't have it apparently. I thought I did. I don't have the original on PS3. But Catalyst is sort of a sequel, sort of a reboot. It's really weird how it works. But it's a bit more of an open world Mirror's Edge kind of thing. And if you're unsure what Mirror's Edge is, it's basically a parkour game. It's like a parkour simulator. And I always really enjoyed it. It was always really fluid, really smooth, so happy to have that one. We've got Monster Hunter World. Again, it was cheap, so it's a running theme with this. A lot of these are just, I saw them, they were cheap, I bought them, But it's a game I've not tried. Funnily enough, it's a game that, again, me and my friend were talking about playing together. However, I'm probably going to play that on a second account because the game is a, 300-hour platinum, and it's probably about 100, 250 hours of grinding, not like actual story or anything like that. So we shall see, but yeah, happy to have that one. coming to the end of the M's, we have Moss, one of the coolest looking PSVR titles. Again, I do have the VR, it's actually behind me on the shelf there, but it is such a pain in the backside to set up with all of the cables and all of the extra things you need to plug in that I just haven't got around to it yet. In fact, I don't even know if I'd have the space to set it up right now. But I really wanted to play Moss, and considering the PSVR 2 will not support these games, I'm going to have to play it with the PSVR. So at some point I'll do that. And look at the mouse. Just look at the mouse. It's too cute. Last game in the M's, we have Murdered Soul Suspect. I have, I'm not gonna lie, no idea what this game is really about. I'm pretty sure you're trying to solve your own murder. So you're a ghost and someone kills you, so you're trying to solve it. It's a really weird premise, but I mean, again, it was cheap and it looks cool. I'm not sure I've heard the best things about it, but yeah, at some point I'll give that one a go. Hopefully it won't be as bad as after it. Moving on to N, we have Need for Speed Heat, and I have a massive soft spot for the Need for Speed franchise. I've loved them since I was younger. They were one of the first series I actually got into in terms of games. Need for Speed Most Wanted on the PS2 will forever be my favourite, but I really enjoyed Heat. I got the Platinum Trophy for this, I think at the start of the year, or maybe midway through, just before I switched over to my new account. But yeah, really wanted to have this, really glad to have it. I'm at some point wanting to pick up physical copies of Payback and 2015. But yeah, we've got that one, got it sorted. We also have Nier Automata, however you pronounce it. Again, haven't played this one, but I heard nothing but good things about it. And I mean, at least if I've got the physical edition, I bought it at a reasonable price. I can jump into it whenever I decide to. It's there, ready, waiting. I've heard it's pretty decent platinum as well. I think there's a weird mechanic in this where you can actually buy trophies with like coins you earn in the game, if I'm remembering rightly, which I find really, really strange, but hey, there you go. I also have No Kuni 2, which I actually bought for a challenge we were running in the Discord, which I never ended up actually playing. I think I was too busy playing through Scarlet Nexus and The Quarry at the time, so I never actually got round to this. It does look super cute though. It's like Studio Ghibli JRPG, and I'm a massive fan of JRPGs. I really am, especially like the more cartoony art-styled ones like this, and Dragon Quest XI are, yeah, up there in terms of the just visual presentation. But really want to try this one. I've heard some of the trophies can be a bit annoying, but I guess I'll find out at some point. Same cannot really be said for these two, Nioh and Nioh 2. I just don't see them being for me, if I'm being honest with you. I gave Nioh 2 a really fair shake when it first came out. In fact, I bought this one at launch. I bought this one first. I've actually played Nioh, but the sheer number of just stats and like damage points and all of these modifiers, I just found it really overwhelming and it kind of put me off. So I might try and go back to these at some point. Maybe I'll try going back to 1 and see if it's a bit more sort of streamlined. But yeah, happy to have those in the collection. Same for No Man's Sky. I waited so long to pick this up because obviously it was absolute hot garbage when it came out, but I figured it's at a point now where it'd probably be incredibly fun to play through, and to be honest, I really wanted it as sort of a kind of chill exploration type game, which it does seem to be. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to boot this one up. There is a PS5 version now, however, so I'm not sure if I'll just play that instead. We'll see. Man, I knew this was going to take a while, but it's been about 45 minutes since I started recording and we're only up to O. So yeah, Okami HD. I have never played this one, but it's again one of those games where you look at the visual style and you can't help but love it. It's almost hand-drawn and painted, and It's one of those games where, kind of like Shadow of the Colossus, where you hear so many good things about it. And I think Okami was a PS2 game, if I'm not mistaken. But I managed to get this off Amazon. I think it was in a sale. So yeah, super happy to have that one. Definitely want to try that at some point. I think the trophies are actually kind of difficult, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm just making that up. Who knows? We have the Order 1886, which, again, I picked this up cheap. If I'd paid full price for this at launch, I'd have probably been in the same camp as everyone else, saying, oh my god, where's the rest of it? But considering I only paid about £10 for it, I really enjoyed it. I had a great time playing through it. It is obviously a very linear story game, and there's not a whole lot to it. There's about, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours maybe for the trophies. In fact, one of the chapters of this game, one of the chapters, is a cutscene, and then it moves on to the next chapter. Like, I found that hilarious, but I really enjoyed it. Outer Worlds, it is completely sealed. I haven't played it yet, but my brother adores this game and has been telling me for the longest time that I need to play it, so I might do it at some point. I mean, I've, again, never been massively into the Fallout series, but this one looks a bit more up my street, and it looks like a good bit of daft fun. Like, kind of like how I said in the last video about Far Cry, I like first-person shooters that aren't necessarily acting like first-person shooters. So, given that this is more of an RPG style game, maybe I'll enjoy it a bit more. Who knows? Next, Red Dead Redemption 2. I have not played much of this game. It's a very good game. It's very highly detailed. It's very expansive and very realistic in certain aspects. But when I played this, it was almost not the game for me at the time. It was very slow, very methodical to get going, and I just didn't have the patience for it. Again, never been the biggest fan of Rockstar. I loved the PS2 GTAs, and that was about the extent of it, really. I don't even think I ever finished the first Red Dead Redemption, but I don't know. At this point, I feel like it's been too long. I may not get around to this, especially considering it's a 200-hour platinum. But, you know, have it in the collection. It's always nice. Always nice to have the options. Similarly to these two, never played these. I've never played a Resident Evil. Again, I'm a massive one when it comes to horror titles, but I've heard nothing but good things about the RE2 remake, and, well, Resident Evil 4 is held up as, you know, this mythical game that's like better than sliced bread. So we shall see. Anyway, they're in the collection. Resi 2 is probably the one I'd go for if I was going to play one of them, but again, I'm not seeing it happen anytime soon. Oh man, I feel like the end's in sight, guys. We're up to S. We'll kick things off with Sekiro. Obviously, big From Software fan. I jumped into this a little bit. I didn't get very far. I feel like it's a game that you'd really need to put the time in and master it. And at the time, I just didn't have the time. So I'm hoping to get back to this. It's on my sort of short list of games I want to get to, along with a bunch of other stuff. And then new games keep coming out, which is never helpful. But yeah, got that one. I think that's most of the From Software, like most recent games I've got now, anyway. Shadow of Mordor. I've spoken about this on the channel before. A platinum that I will never get because I didn't enjoy the game at all. It just felt like a very empty Ubisoft game. Like a Ubisoft game but without all of the markers and collectibles. And it just was not for me. Obviously the Nemesis system is lauded as all this cool stuff, but again, I've spoken about it before. I'm not going to go into it too much. It is what it is. Next up, we have South Park, The Fractured But Whole. I haven't played this one. I've played the Stick of Truth, which I adored. I thought it was hilarious. and appealed to the inner 12-year-old inside me. And I mean, I kind of wanted to get to this at the time, so I bought it straight after I played through The Stick of Truth and then just never actually got around to it. So it's on the list, further down than Sekiro for sure. Then we have Marvel's Spider-Man. I'm not going to go into anything about this. It's fantastic. Play the game. If you have a PS4 and you haven't played this, you're doing it wrong. I'm sorry, just that. Then we have Spyro the Reignited Trilogy. I recently started playing through these. I just got the platinum in the first game, and man, if that wasn't such a nostalgia trip. I had such a fun time playing through that game. Again, funnily enough, I think when I played the original Spyros, I played the Game Boy versions, I think it was. I had a very weird gaming childhood, I'm not gonna lie. So that was super fun to get to. I'll go through the other two eventually, but I didn't want to do them back to back. I wanted to sort of use them sparingly as like break games to sort of breathe between others. So yeah, definitely get to that at some point. Steep is, if you didn't know, a Ubisoft game in a similar vein to Riders Republic, except this is entirely like winter sports, like snowboarding, skiing, that sort of thing. I only bought this game because the platinum was ultra rare. That is the only reason, and I haven't actually played it at all. And I don't know if I will, to be honest. Like I said, when I talked about Riders Republic, I bought that game to sort of use as sort of a chill game to just play sort of mindlessly for a little bit. And it's good for that. I can't see me ever sitting down and, you know, really giving it the beans, as it were. But I mean, it's in the collection if I ever did want to go for it. It does say online connection required, which makes me concerned that it might have online trophies that, you know, if they close the servers, I'll be stuffed. But either way, there it is. Coming up to the end, we have Subnautica, which I absolutely loved. It's the only survival game I've ever really gotten into. And to be honest, it took me a few sort of broken sessions to actually get into it. But once you sort of get yourself going and you start figuring out how everything works and you build a base and all that stuff, everything sort of snowballs from there. And it's just so cool. And those Leviathan things are absolutely terrifying when you run into them. I actually, you know what, subtle brag, I had the absolute cojones to scan one of the big Reaper Leviathans and get the, what do you call it, like all the information about it, which means you have to get close enough to it when you're not in a ship to actually scan it without it eating you. So that was nerve-wracking as hell, but yeah, I absolutely love this game. I highly recommend it to everyone. It is absolutely fantastic, even if it's still janky as hell. Like, the draw distance is just shocking. Anyway, last one for S, we have The Surge 2. I played the first Surge, which wasn't really that well received. I kind of enjoyed it, but I never finished it. However, I've heard much better things about The Surge 2, and this was another one where I'm pretty sure, yeah, I got it as like a big box edition with some like art cards and stuff, and I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. So I kind of figured I'd just buy it and play it eventually. It's not really high on the list, but yeah. The whole mechanical Souls-like thing really speaks to me. It really does. Right, bugger it. I've literally just grabbed all of the remaining games off the shelf and we'll just do them all in one big go because I don't want to have to get up again. So, let's kick things off with the Uncharted series, the obviously Nathan Drake collection, which is 1, 2, and 3, and the Lost Legacy. Obviously, I've played the first two games on the PS3 way back when. I have not gotten really around to playing these since this collection came out. I did go for the platinum in Drake's Fortune, but the sort of combat trophies really put me off. I probably could do it quite easily if I went back to it now, and then obviously the difficulty trophies would probably come with trial and error. But Lost Legacy, I absolutely adored this game. I think it's possibly my favourite of the ones I've played. Saying that I've only played 1 and 2 and this, so maybe that's a bit skewed. However, absolutely fantastic game. I really loved Chloe and Nadine, possibly more than I love Drake, which I'm not sure is that a hot topic. I don't actually know. But yeah, nice to have both of those. I'm really tempted to buy the Legacy of Thieves collection because I'm pretty sure it's on sale at the moment. So I may add that to the PS5 collection at some point, and I'll have a physical copy of every single one of the games then. Because I don't have a single copy of 4. Anyway, next up, Until Dawn and Until Dawn Rush of Blood. One of my favourite games ever, and one of the ultra rare games that I was planning on trying to get. It, again, would require me to get that, you know, PSVR out and plug all that in. It's kind of an on rails, like, weird roller coastery kind of thing, where it's like you're just shooting targets as you're going past. Could be fun. Until Dawn itself is amazing. I absolutely love this game. It's my favourite of all of the Supermassive series. And yeah, had to have them. Had to. I just couldn't not. Next up, we have Untitled Goose Game, which I bought purely because everyone said it was hilarious fun to just annoy people as a goose. And obviously, as you can see, it's still sealed, so I haven't played it yet. But this is another one of those games where I bought it because it's a bit daft and it could be used as a quite nice sort of palate cleanser game. I've heard some of the time trials can be a bit frustrating, but even so, it's you play as a goose. Why would I not want that? Okay, what have we got left? 5 more games. So, next we have the Walking Dead Definitive Series, which I believe is all of them, if I'm not mistaken. Includes all 4 seasons and the 2 sort of one-off things they did. The main gripe I have with this is because it's all in one, the trophy list is for all of it. And so it would require quite a bit of dedication to get through, which I'm not against because obviously the Walking Dead Telltale series is one of the better Telltale games. But I played through season 1, I think last year maybe, and really enjoyed it, but then didn't have the energy to sort of carry on because it's quite an emotional, you know, game. It's quite a heavy story, and it sort of took a lot out of me the first time. So I might go back and finish these off at some point. But yeah, we've got that one. We have Wipeout, the Omega Collection. I have never played a home console Wipeout game. I played the absolute living hell out of the PSP game. I think it was Wipeout Pure. But if you don't know what these are, it's basically a stupidly fast racing game where you are playing like in like hover ships on ridiculous tracks and you go at insane speeds, and the trophies for this game are ridiculous if I remember correctly. Some of the time trials you have to do are absolutely bonkers, but you know, it's a cool looking art book. Like it looks cool, so it's nice and shiny. There's a lot of silver on it, and it just looked good on the shelf. I mean, what more could you ask for, really, if we're being honest? Same could be said for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Again, fantastic game. I already owned it digitally, but I figured I'd just buy a physical copy because I'm a massive, massive, massive sucker. This game has very recently got a next-gen upgrade, which means I may actually finally get around to playing it all the way through. I have never finished it. The furthest I've got is I'm really sure Novigrad, which is like nowhere near anywhere. It's like the very earliest city you get to. But you know, it's a massive game, and the trophy list requires you to play on the highest difficulty, so maybe at some point with this, you know, next gen upgrade, I'll start off on that difficulty and I'll just throw myself into it. But yeah, had to have a physical copy of that one. Only 2 games left now, with Yakuza Kiwami being the penultimate game. I really wanted to get into the Yakuza series. Obviously I bought Yakuza 0 digitally, which is ideally where I would start, and I probably will start there. However, I found this secondhand for, you know, not much money, and it's a pretty clean copy of the game, so I figured I'd chuck a couple of quid its way and add it into the collection, and hopefully get around to playing through these at some point. I know there's about a bajillion of them now, but, well, there's 6, and then the spin-off, but, you know. Anyway, final game is Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana. I think I've pronounced that correctly. If I've not, please do let me know. It's a pretty cool action JRPG looking game. As far as I can tell, it works in a similar way to the Final Fantasy series. However, it has the same protagonist each time. So I think the way they sort of spin it is he forgets who he is every single time, and he's just in a new setting. And the combat always looks really cool in these games, and I've heard really good things about the series. There is also, I think it's Ys 9 is out now, which I think is part of the PS Plus collection, I think. But yeah, really wanted to try this one. Again, massive sucker for JRPGs, so yeah, maybe at some point I'll jump into that and yeah, hopefully get a pretty nice platinum, a pretty out there platinum. But that's going to do it for the collection as a whole. If you've watched both parts and stuck with me through it all, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've got some things to say about the games I've not played, because there's a lot of them. But if you've enjoyed both these videos, then please do make sure to hit that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you want to see another video, then I highly recommend that one right there. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I shall catch you all next time.